All right. I believe we are live. We are live. Tap in. Hello. Oh, this is low. What's up in it? Internet, Twitter, YouTube. How we all doing? We are Shades of Blue. We got the whole gang here. Look at the people's Tarek, Sharpie, Tom. How's it going, fellas? How y'all doing? It's good to see your faces.
Doing all right. Uh, maybe not completely awake yet, but the coffee, I'm working on it. So I'm working on it.
Doing good, man. Can't
Yummy.
complain. Looking forward to this match.
Man, I'm so excited for this lineup and talk about it with y'all. I'm looking forward to this all week. Let's get it.
So we are here to talk Man City Leeds. Also, everyone watching on FanFest Live, YouTube, Twitter. Unfortunately, if you leave a comment, we really can't see anything, but that's still appreciate that. Hit the likes, hit the love buttons. I'm sure it does something to some kind of algorithm. Retweet it, all those fun things. Uh, Comments. Please head up the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. All those fantastic things. We'll try to respond on YouTube. It's a little easier to see on FanFest Live. Also, if you're on the updated link, you should see a tab up top. And if you're watching, and you can suggest topics. And so if we, you know, find short topics, we can talk about it. But usually we do a great job. But let's get to this match. Andy Madley is the referee. He averages 3.3 yellow cards a match. So this would be interesting. Um, Leeds injuries: Tyler Adams, Stuart Dallas, and Sinistera. Sinistera, he honestly gives us fits some, at least from what I remember. So those are some three pretty solid names that will be missing. Pep versus Big Sam. He's doing a lot of talking. Unfortunately, he's 0 for 4 against Pep. So this could be finally the time that he has a breakthrough. But we've played them 5 times in the last decade, Leeds that is, and we are 3-1-1 against Leeds. And the one draw and the one win is from their Premier League when they were promoted. So is that first season where they're playing Bielsa ball, and ever since they left Bielsa ball, it's just been traumatic. 3-1 City, 4-0 City, 7-0 City.
It happened. Seven did happen. Wow. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
hmm
Uh,
It got ugly
big,
like bubble
Touchdown.
talk.
Big Sam, he's going to want to slow things down. He's going to want to try to make City win, force this win out of them. I guess let's start with Big Sam. Obviously, popular dude. Everyone loves him. But him at Leeds, in
Sure
my
about that?
opinion,
I'm just asking. I'm just
well,
asking.
and that's
I
why
don't know.
I'm asking you. I guess we can start with you. What is your thoughts on Big Sam at Leeds?
Uh, if I were Leeds and I'm facing relegation. I have 4 games left. You do what you got to do to try to stay up. The problem is, I don't care who you bring in. 4 games is just not enough time, in my opinion. So, um, you know, quote unquote Big Sam is a person that's willing to take this job on because this is his little wheelhouse, try to keep you up. And if he
Yes.
doesn't, and if he doesn't, there's no repercussions, right? Because no one expects them to stay up. It's just like
Mm.
it's a free pass, a free hit for him. Just try to keep us up. And if not, oh well, we're gonna have a new manager anyway. You're not gonna stay on next year. So it's just you got 4 games. We're gonna pay you some money to just come out here and hang out with our fellas and see if you can't maybe inspire them to get a win. There's no real expectation that's going to happen. So it's just a free hit for him. But um, you know, other people wouldn't have put themselves in that position. He's willing to do it. So do I expect him to keep them up? No.
Mm.
But you can't knock the hustle. You find a vein that you fit in. If your thing is just keeping teams up or at least giving that a shot, then make that your own. And that's what he's trying to do.
Mm.
It's shocking to me that in the year of our Lord 2023, that teams are actually still calling Samuel Allardyce and saying, "Come save my season."
You can't be saying that. He's saying he's underrated. He's saying y'all aren't giving English managers enough love. Y'all need to be standing up more for English managers. And you're saying the opposite? How dare you? I'm obviously just being full of it. I've had a whole bunch of cold brew.
Listen, I get that it is coronation weekend and we're gonna hear God Save the King, and but we don't need all of this xenophobia lying going on about English managers. I mean, when was the last time an English manager won the Premier League? I'm genuinely asking because I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think it's happened in the 21st century. Yeah, Ferguson, Scotty, yeah. So it hasn't happened in the 21st century. It had to be somebody early, which is the point. And I would just say to this whole conversation, I just enjoy his nicknames, Big Sam. It sounds like somebody I knew around the way, like somebody you know at the barbershop.
Oh yeah, he
What's up,
can
Big Sam?
definitely be from the neighborhood. You
Oh,
know,
for
he's
sure.
the one that everybody know.
Wait,
Yeah.
y'all remember the Lil Jon and the East Side Boys? One of the East Side Boys was named Big Sam.
Exactly. See, that's the thing. It's very familiar. So saying it is fun. Like his character is good. I mean, he's doing a classic tactic, right? Take all the pressure off the players. You don't even know the names in the left. Like, we haven't talked about the lineup yet, right? It's the first time ever we've gone 7 minutes without a lineup because he's trying to smartly distract us from the lack of talent he has on his team and put all the pressure on him. And it's smart, and I respect it. And as a player, you got to appreciate it. They clearly made a mistake with Javi Gracia. It didn't work. If you really think about it, they probably shouldn't have fired Jesse Marsch. That was kind of a panic move based on how they just fell apart under Gracia. So they're trying to save themselves. Now, the goal differential is key for them. They have a +8 goal differential on Everton because they're both tied at 34 points. So that is a little bit of a buffer. And we play both of them. So like both of them are going to catch L from us. It's just a matter of who gets the worst L at this point. So you got Dice coming up next week. You got Big Sam today. They're just trying to lose 2-0 and not 7-0. But yeah.
And I guess let's look at this loser of the team. Okay, so this post, I love that the graphic is just a photo of Harrison from practice. Like they just like snapped it and just like slapped it up there. Just like even their social media team is just like So I think that's quite hilarious. Oh, I can see the lineup now. Hey, shout out to the upgrades. Hey, let's go FanFest. So we got Robles in goal, Ailing, Furpo, Christensen, Wober, Raka, Forshaw, McKinney, Nanto, Harrison, and Bamford. Lots of speed up top with Nanto, Harrison, and Bamford. Well, not Bamford, but Bamford, he's a person who just scores the goals. He's very much like, he could catch us like Vinicius. Like he just is a sneaky person and he doesn't need much space. Yeah, Adam says he sat Messier, which is interesting. I don't really know much about Robles. Tom Baum, let's start with you. What are you okay, let's not even, I guess, because we've talked about how we feel about the team itself. So who on this team could give us the most difficulty? It could be offense, defense.
Can I go opposite? Can I say who's the mark is? Robles is the mark. Robles is
it's not good.
Robles has not started an actual match in 2 years. Oh. Like he hasn't started in the Premier League since 2017. So we need to put a lot of shots on frame, like a lot, just because he hasn't had that game experience. So we need to be putting a lot of shots on frame, just making him work. I'm sure that Big Sam, with all of his organization, will probably sit something crazy and like put at least 10 players behind the ball as much as possible and let Bamford be the outlet. But I'm thinking that Robles is the mark and we need to put as many shots on frame as possible.
See, actually, let's be honest, Bamford couldn't finish a Happy Meal jut. That's hilarious. I mean, hey, when Bamford, before the injury, he was doing his thing. is not the same person since he's been back. But yeah, Harrison, he tries too hard whenever he plays City. Like I feel like he starts the match pretty decent, but I think he comes at it with so much energy, he ends up disappearing by most of the match. So he should be someone we would worry about. But I really like Nanto. Like he's a sneaky dude. He's a very direct player. He's got some agility. But yeah, Robles. Sharpie, who is your, I guess, mark, or who is the person who could give us trouble?
Nanto, I think, has the best combination of pace and positioning and finishing. I know One Football has Jack Harrison as kind of like a wingback. So it's going to be interesting to see how they actually line up, because when I was checking out USA, Tim Howard had it lined up a different way, where he had Nato and Harrison on each wing versus One Football, which has like a 3-4-2-1 setup. So kind of like, basically a back five with a four midfielders and Bamford. So it's going to be interesting to see. But his pace is something to take note of. But how much of the ball they're really going to have, right? Bamford hasn't scored consistently since he's been back. I think he's averaging one goal every 300 minutes. Nanto and Harrison are like every 600 minutes. So them scoring, this is not the Bielsa or Marshall's where goals are going in. And clearly we know what Big Sam about to do. He's going to say sit back, try to hit on the counter. We know this. Like, this is not new for us. And because of Pep's systems and his 3-2-4-1, which we'll get to, it doesn't expose us the way it used to, where we only had two center backs in the back. So try not to lose by 5. That's all I got. I don't know. Let's talk about
I think that we definitely should win this game. It should be comfortable, but you can't go into it with the mindset that, oh, they're trash, we're just going to dominate, right? You got to go in and handle your business, and I think we'll do that early. I think the as far as the player from their team that, if you want to say, could hurt us, definitely Ganato, or however you say it. And I think Harrison, both because of that pace. And you're right, they're not going to have the ball very much, but they are going to try to hit us on the break. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to camp out on the edge of the box and then run at us whenever they get a chance. And so I think those are the two players that I would say are most likely to, quote unquote, hurt us. But I'm interested to see what Weston McKennie does. When he signed with them, I said at the time that it was a bad idea. I said, because chances are they were going to go down, and all the Americans were going to foot all the blame. I got a lot of hate mail or hate tweets, for whatever you want to call it, from Leeds fans, but it's pretty much played out exactly how I figured it was. The person that they are blaming at the moment is Weston McKennie, saying he's overweight, saying this, that, and the other. And so I'll be interested to see what Big Sam can do with him, because I think obviously he came there with the intent that he was going to play for Jesse Marsh, American coach, who probably knew a little bit more on how to use him. So let's see what Big Sam can do from that perspective. So that's my take on their lineup.
Well, and let's talk about ours. This is a fun little lineup. It kind of stresses me out. I know they probably have practiced this lineup over the last few days. I mean, it's very similar to the team that they used last time, at least with no Rodri. Ederson, Lewis, Akanji, Laporte, Ake, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Alvarez, Foden, and Haaland. When the last match, Alvarez and Mahrez ended up in a lot of the same spots, and they kind of like fumbled over each other. That was the only thing that kind of, I guess, stressed me out about the match. Obviously, it was a very easy win, but I felt like a lot of our struggles were we were just ending up, a lot of our players ended up in the same space, trying to figure out how to handle all of this. But I'm not worried in any way. I'm happy to see Rodri get some rest. And I tweeted last week, we can either do no Ederson or no Rodri. We can't do no Rodri and Ederson. So I'm happy that Ederson made the start, because there was that tweet that said Pep really wanted to get Stefan Ortega his PL medal and would play him, and that kind of stressed me out a little bit. So I'm very glad to see this team. Tarek, what's your thoughts on it?
It's interesting. A lot of echo a lot of things that you just said. Seeing KDB and Julian Alvarez on the pitch at the same time. At the beginning of the season, it was, can Alvarez and Holland play together? And we've proven that they can. And like I said, I think last week, when they play together, they typically both score. I don't know how often we've played KDB and Alvarez together. So now we got to see if those two can play together as not dual 8s, but dual 10s effectively. And it's one thing to do that when you have Rodri behind you. It's another thing when you have Gundo, who can play as a holding, but maybe that's not his best position. So when I look at this lineup, I see Pep going somewhat against his typical nature, which is to try to embrace the control. And he's got that control lineup. We want to be able to hold the ball. And this is, we're just going to come at you consistently. We know that you're probably going to concede us the ball, so we don't have to have our best players as far as keeping possession on the pitch. We got to have the ones who can break you down and can score goals from anywhere and everywhere, because that's what it's going to take. We're going to have to break them down, because at the end of the day, Big Sam's just going to say, camp at the 18 and just try to keep them out. So, I think this lineup says, let's just go break them down. Obviously, the earlier the better. But more importantly, this lineup says that Real Madrid is our focus. And we are not going to wait till the second match. We are going to take that first game and try to win the whole tie in match number 1. So that's what I see when I see this lineup. You see a lot of players getting rest, and it's just really awesome to see.
So does anyone see, if we get up early, Haaland getting some rest and Alvarez going up top, and maybe some of our midfielders getting some time, like maybe Phillips?
I think it's kind of telling that Phillips didn't start this match. I think in our group chat, I haven't been able to read the article in its entirety. I know that we had someone had shared the Manchester Evening News story about Pep having to have a sit down with Phillips and saying, this is the way of life at this club, and you are not meeting the standard. It is a little bit alarming that he is not in this starting lineup, because if you kind of look at our fixture list, like, this is one of maybe 2 or 3 matches maybe that he might start for the rest of the season. And the fact that he's not starting is kind of problematic for me. I think that this match is going to have a Julian Alvarez a lot on Julian Alvarez. I think, even to Tarek's point, even though we are going to play that instead of dueling 8s, dueling 10s, there's still going to be a lot of defensive cover that Alvarez is going to need to do, just because we've already established that KDB is not the box-to-box midfielder that he once was when he first came to this club. And to be honest, especially with Real Madrid coming up in the midweek, I don't think we want him running up and down the pitch. I honestly, to me, it will be telling. I would hope around the 60th minute, once we have a good control of the match, that we can swap out Rico and Gundo and put in Phillips and Gomez, just because they've played together before in that double pivot midfield before, and I think that they have experience with that and good chemistry. But again, that's 30 minutes of the two of them, who's probably our weakest midfield, holding midfield. So I think there's going to be a lot put on Alvarez in this particular match, and I would hope that we see Phillips and Gomez around the 60th minute.
So to offer a slightly different take, because I agree with everything y'all said, I would just say that we're playing Leeds, and Leeds is terrible. And when I see our squad, without other than Rico Lewis, you see 10 internationals, right? Like 10 players played the World Cup except baby Rico. We look at those who got rest. We look at those, like, look at that bench, right? Like, the bench is stupid. And Phillips not starting, to me, it's something for banter, something for discussion. It gets clicks, but it doesn't matter. Like, nothing that, like, there hasn't been a match where Phillips didn't start and Gundo messed up, right? Or Bernardo was terrible, like, because they're great. So the biggest thing for me is that Phillips comes in as a 60-minute sub, maybe a halftime sub for Gundo, right? If we could get 3 players off at the half like we did before because we're up 3-0, I'm okay with giving up that 1 goal, in the second half in order to get KDB off, get Holland off, get Ake off, who's still coming back, and we want him fresh. So that's my hope, is that we start to see subs between the 45th and 60th minutes, and then we just ride it out. We've talked ad nauseum on City Twitter and on our pod and here about, like, it's a first year adjustment for everyone. So why are we thinking it's going to be different for Calvin Phillips in the most difficult role in the team, right? It's not big ass Holland go score goals. It's not Alvarez who can just slot in and be him. Like, going forward is way easier than being a midfielder in Pep's system. And so we know what Phillips is. It's a project. And I think a lot of times people, not just us, but like people go back and forth about like patience versus like, oh my God, he should be starting. Why isn't he starting? Well, you just said last week, we got to be patient. Like, nothing's changed. And so I'm just going to trust Pep and know that he understands what we need from Real Madrid. I think in midweek, we saw Ake get subbed off, right? So I think you kind of see that as like the most important person to get off. And then right after him is Holland. Because those two are going to be so critical on each end against Real Madrid. But just to go over our predictions from the weekend, from the podcast, everybody had us scoring at least 4 goals. Tarek and Tom had a 4-0 clean sheet. Crunk said 5-1, I said 4-1. So none of us really thought or think this is going to be difficult, even though Big Sam made it seem something special. If you took his name out of this, we'd be saying like touchdown. Like, let's be real. We're just trying to give him some respect on his name, shout to Birdman. But other than that, like, this is kiddie food. Like, it's nothing.
All right. So is everyone sticking? Oh, sorry, Terry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, in reference to the Calvin Phillips thing, would I have liked to see him start? Sure. Just because I don't think it's a big deal if he doesn't. But I do think there's as a manager, you're thinking, one, this is the place that he is going to get the biggest reception. He got, when he came on last week, it was like, oh, we want Calvin Phillips, bring him on, whatever. He was going to go to Leeds, and he's going to get a big reception when he comes on or when he goes off or whatever, right? And quite honestly, maybe there's just a little too many emotions, and he would be too, you think about a derby game, right? When it's us versus Man U, or when it's Liverpool versus Everton or whoever, right? There's all those emotions that play into it. And maybe this is Pep just trying to manage the emotions of the moment. And so that, hey, I'm going to bring you on, you're going to get your time, but I just don't want it to be too much too soon, because if you get in a bad spot, you get an early yellow or whatever, well, then that impacts our ability to win the game. Let's go win the game first, and then we'll get you the experience that you need. We'll bring you on, get you some playing time, but at the same hand, kind of manage those emotions. Now, again, I have no reason to know that that's the truth, but it's just another thought. I can't help it, Adam. I'm a dad. Of course I'm going to go Dr. Phil. That's my job all day, every day.
Something I forgot to mention real quick is that I hope that Ortega gets subbed on. Like, I want him to get a medal. Like, he could be an 80th minute sub. I don't care about disrespect. Like, we have enough matches left where you can start to do it, and it won't hurt the team because he's capable. He's really good at his job.
I think they get extra medals they can give out, especially to
the
backup keepers. They have so many extras.
Yeah, they just have to ask for it.
Yeah, but I want to see him. Why not? Like,
I know. One last question before we go, and this should just be a quick yes or no. Does Calvin Phillips get booed by Leeds?
Oh, absolutely.
No,
yes.
I don't think so.
Wait, it's a home game. Well, you mean like the away?
Oh shoot! Oh, sorry. For some reason, I thought it was in Leeds. Do you think you'll hear scattering of boos from Leeds fans then? Let's phrase
No.
it that way.
I don't think there are going to be enough of them there. Like, I think the cheers are going to be like so loud for Calvin that they outweigh any little noise that. And if they're still there, like they probably leave. I would, unless you just want to watch great football. But you made the trip, you might as well stay, I guess.
I think that you appreciate what the player did for you when he was with you, right? And you can't begrudge a player leaving Leeds to go to Man City. Any player would do that, especially one that you think is great and he deserves this opportunity. Now, I could be wrong. You know, and it's easy for me to say because we kind of sit at the top of the table, right? And it's hard for a player to leave us and go somewhere else, and it'd be a upgrade. Just see what happened to Raheem Sterling. So, you know, there's going to come a day where someone's going to leave and go someplace else, and we'll see how that plays out in my own life. But I just think that, you know, you respect him for what he did, and you appreciate it. So I would not, if I were a Leeds fan, I wouldn't boo. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and I only say that because I have seen some well, when he left the city, it was a lot of like how Aston Villa fans were about Jack. Yes, Jack did great things for him, but once he left for City, they weren't the nicest about it. And I was seeing a lot of that with Calvin to Leeds. So that's the reason why I was like, maybe we'll hear some booing. Should he get the booing? Absolutely not. But should and will, different things.
What I'd say to that is that what you probably saw was, I would imagine, on social media, and social media probably skews a little bit younger as far as fan base. So if you go to the match, or players, the people that are actually paying their money to go to games are probably skewing a little older and they're a little bit more mature. Social media is going to typically be skewing a little bit younger, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that may be part of it too.
Do y'all remember what our like 8th episode and what the title was? It's called Trash
8th
Fans.
episode? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yes.
It's called Trash Fans Throw Trash. Shout out to Ellen Road.
Oh, yeah, they did have them last year. Yeah.
I am like almost like a year ago to the week. It's really eerie. I'm not. Leeds fan behavior has shown that like they can do literally anything. I mean, I think Tarek makes a great point. Like the social media like does usually skew younger, so like maybe we do not necessarily hear that noise at the Etihad, but I'm certain that we will hear that noise on the timeline. I'm almost certain about it.
All right, well, let's get out of here and cheer on our squad. Shout outs to everybody who has taken their time to watch our show. We will be back tomorrow to talk about the ladies, the baby blue baddies. Shout out to Khadijah Shaw for winning CONCACAF Player of the Year. Like, super dope. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, though.
Yes.
Let's go, City.
Come on, City.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.